footnote on the bottom. That with this, we'll understand that when it came to 1940, 20 years after the passing of the Rebbe Rashab, the Maimer that the Frierdiker Rebbe released for that year, Yortzeit, Ilula, is Ashreinu Matev Chalkeinu, Manoim Geraleinu, Mayofa Yerushaseinu, which deals with these two, all includes these two types of godly energy. Comes Chassidim in our time, between them Rav Melech Tzvibel soll sein gesund. I heard it from him in 1970. He says, with this we'll understand why 20 years after the passing of the Frierdiker Rebbe, the Rebbe brings Ashreinu Matev Chalkeinu. How does it fit in the middle of Basi Leganim? I think by the end, the last 2 pages, page or 2, I mean here we don't have it, but it's brought in. And the Rebbe connects it like, by the end. It's like just to mention it, to make mention of it. So this shows how everything is precisely measured. It was taken out of here. As soon as I saw it, I asked. And they said, well, you have to ask Rabbi Yokan. I didn't meet him yet, but I'll definitely ask him because there was a whole thing from the Rebbe, and it's an interesting background. Could be he had something from the Rebbe that the Rebbe instructed him that he shouldn't. But it was never edited, this Maimer, so I don't know when that happened. Oh, it was edited. Yes. See on the top, on the first footnote? Came out in 1990. By the 40 years of the Rebbe's Nesios, they then published this Maimer. So it is edited by the Rebbe. Could be that he had an instruction from the Rebbe. I would like to know anyway. Now the Rebbe continues, V'yash leimar, zeu ma she'asiyas ha'mishkan hoysel achar echet ha'egel, that this fact, concept, that the doing of the Mishkan was after the Chet Egel, after the sin of the Egel, that the intention of the descent of the world through the sin of the golden calf before the Mishkan, that the Aveda of the Asali Migdash the Aveda of the Asali Migdash should be, you see, you look in order 14, that it should be also an union of coming out of the darkness. That's why the Yerida was before the Mishkan, in order the Mishkan should take out of the darkness. Now you look in 14, it's not so simple. There's a whole Sikha from the Rebbe, although it doesn't say here, look at the Sikha Chelik Vav, but that's what the Sikha is. There's a few different opinions. If the Mishkan was before the Egel or after, there's a few different opinions, 2 or 3 opinions. So even according to the opinions, the Rebbe says that the order, the commandment for the Mishkan was before the sin of the Egel, but the making the Mishkan was after the sin of the Egel. And according to many opinions that Rashi brings in the Medrash, even the commandment of doing the Mishkan itself was after the sin of the Egel. Which means you read there's a descent, and then there's the union of elevation after the descent.
But according to all the days that it was made after the Mishkan, no? The question is if the Tzivur was before or after?
What was made after the Mishkan?
Before, after Chet HaEgel.
No, cooking the, was I supposed to give after? It says it was after the Chet HaEgel.
Yeah, but the question is about the Tzivur, the commandment. If
the commandment, or even if the commandment was before, right.
That's a question. But according to all the days, it looks like that...
right, the only question, right, that it was after. It was after Chet HaEgel, which means first was the Yerida, the descent, and then there was the elevation, the coming out of it. So the Mele, so the word is azay, the Kavane ba Yerida de Elam, the Kavane of Yerida shal Yedei Chet HaEgel, that through the sin of the Egel, is Vasil Fnei Asiyas HaMishkan Nibechdei, what's the ultimate purpose? So Aveda de Vasil Migdash Tiyalei Rakim Tziv HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Elagam Aveda de Skafi V'Sapchi. That the Aveda of Vasil Migdash is not only fulfilling the Tzivi of the Eibishter, as mentioned earlier, but there should be also in Skafi V'Sapchi, subduing and converting darkness. Ukemevur ba Maimer, as it's mentioned, explained in the Maimer in the discourse from 1950, Shaveda de Vasili Migdash ilapech hashtus de lumazel shtus de kedusha, to convert from the shtus de lumazel, from the silliness of world, from negative elements, lishtus de kedusha, to sacred matters, velafech hashekadelam the keresh hamishkan, and to convert and turn over from the falseness of world to keresh, which is the same aces, the same letters. Sheker is shin kuf reish, keresh is kuf reish shin. Which is the Mishkan, making boards for the Mishkan. Through this, is fulfilled v'shachanti b'seichem, that I will dwell amongst them, hamshachas ikar shchina b'tachtenim. Drawing down the priority of the Shekhinah in this physical world, l'mayla yesa mikmei shehoya kedem hachet, even higher yet than it was before the chet. Is v'inyan zeh, this inyan, sham shachas ikar shchina b'tachtenim b'mishkan, hoyse l'mayla yesa gam yesa mikmei shehoya kedem hachet, that this hamshacha v'ikar shchina b'tachtenim b'mishkan was higher than how it was before the chet, move on gam mizeh, we can also see it. In other words, that the descent of the drawing down of the revelation later is greater than how it was before. Move on, we can understand it also factually. The conduct and the structure of world, even before the Chet, was al pitev according to nature. The source of nature, the source of nature and world is a light which is within the framework of worlds. And in the Mishkan was anhoge a miraculous conduct which is higher than nature. As our Chazal say, 10 miracles took place by our ancestors in the Beis Hamikdash, in the temple. The same thing was in the Mishkan. And as the Rebbe says in Order 20, that Mishkan is called Mikdash, and most of the Nisim that are mentioned in Ovis, Shayochem Gam Mishkan, were also appropriate in the Mishkan. This is basically that it's an inyan which is a nes. A nes is something that's higher than nature. The word nes means uplifting. Uplifting higher than nature. Why is it that it can be uplifting higher than nature? Because it comes from a revelation that's higher than world. And even more yet, the Mokim Ha'oren is not min Hamida. The place of the Oren, of the Ark, the Holy Ark, is something that did not take up any space. On the other hand, when you measured it, it had dimensions. So it was Mok in Lashon HaGemara in Yuma. It's called Mokim Ha'oren Eina min Hamida. The Mokim Ha'oren did not, the space of the Oren, Ark did not take up any place. And on one hand, not on one hand, this is the expression in Gemara. Expression in Chassidus is Gvul ubli Gvul b'yachad. Limitation and infinite, higher than limitation in the same time. Nimna hanimnois. Doing the impossible, both together. And as the Rebbe says, there are Chekri Yisrael, Jewish philosophers, that hold that it's not possible. Even Chekri Yisrael.
Who was he referring to?
I don't know. It was never edited, so it was never stated. But the Rebbe says, Chassidus accepts it, and the basis, there's a Sikha from the Rebbe. First of all, there is a Maimah from the Rebbe, Maim Rabim, Tafshin Yud Zayin, where the Rebbe discusses it in footnotes. Then there's a Sikha from the Rebbe in Bamidbar, Tafshin Lamed Gimel, when the Rebbe speaks about the Mokim Ha'oren Eina min Hamida. So it's actually happening.
You know, nice, we have it in Chanukah.
You mean the way the Rebbe interprets the Nes?
With the menorah, yeah.
Yeah, on one hand, because the Rebbe blends together the two opinions, that there were two opposite things happening at the same time. Yeah, in Chelik Tazvav, in the Likutei Sichos, volume 15. Okay, so Mela, now the Rebbe continues. In order there should be the attachment of two opposites, the mokim v'lamayla mehamokim, that place and higher than space together, who dafka al yedei agilu yedei ensof shelamayla gam me'oher shelamayla me'elamis, is dafka through the revelation of an infinite revelation which is higher yet than the light which is higher than world, because the light that's that's higher than world has still a shaychus to world, but it's higher. Still has a connection to world. And on the other hand, when we say completely that it's to connect two opposite extremes, it has to be completely not within the structure of level or higher than level. Nimna hanimnois. And this is what he says, looking at Order 22.